Welcome to the Coach Debbie Potts Show, where high performers learn how to stop guessing and start aging stronger, not slower. Your host is Coach Debbie Potts, functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner, metabolic health coach, and host of this show. Here, we dive into the why behind fatigue, stubborn weight, hormone chaos, gut issues, and declining performance. Using real data, functional lab testing, metabolism analysis, and simple daily habits that actually move the needle. Whether you're an endurance athlete, an executive, or simply committed to becoming your strongest future you, you're in the right place. Let's get started.
It's Debbie Potts, and I'm back with another episode to help you understand that if you are struggling to lose fat, gain muscle, maybe just feel stronger and or become more resilient as you age, it's not because you lack discipline. So today I want to talk about common myths, why weight loss stalls and muscle might be harder to build as we get older, as we age, and looking more from a health investigator lens. As I have become over the years more of a holistic health practitioner, past life personal trainer and a coach, and helped all ages get fit and healthy from more on the outside. But now over the last 10 years, I've been working on how to get people from the inside out be healthy at a cellular level. And more, I'm working with even 30-something-year-old parents that are struggling to lose fat, gain muscle as they get older. They're trying to do the right exercise program. They're trying to eat healthy. The people I work with are highly motivated. They're consistent. They're fit on the outside. They're eating. And I always ask, what does this mean? Clean food, healthy food. They're exercising regularly, but I always ask, what does your workout look like? What do you do the rest of the day? How's your sleep? How's your stress level? Because they're all stuck. They're not getting the desired results. And I just want to share some insight about what could be possibly the reasons for it. Let's look at the root cause. Let's dig deeper and understand the why. Not just surface answers, not trendy hacks, but looking more at the root cause as a health investigator that I see over and over again. As functional medicine health investigation, we're looking at picking up the clues and to put the missing pieces of your health puzzle together. Most conversations about weight loss still continue to focus on how many calories you eat. Calories in, calories out. Yes, I've owned and run Pinoy metabolism testing, and it tells you your resting metabolic rate. But when you're trying to lose weight or gain weight, I'm not going to say it's 3,500 calories equals a pound. You need to eat this much calories a day and exercise this much. It doesn't work like that. It's not just about macros. It's not exercise volume and your intensity. It's not just about willpower. Weight loss, rather, we should be saying gaining muscle is not a behavior problem. It's a physiological adaptation problem. And remember, that adaptation we've been talking about so many episodes only happens when the body perceives safety, when it has sufficient energy, proper signaling, recovery capacity. And as we age, those signals change. I started to get health problems. I was 42 years old, and I was doing a ton of training. I was competing to win my age group was always my goal in Ironmans and half Ironmans, marathons, half marathons, cycling events, but half triathlons, half and a full were my main focus. I was pretty good at endurance events, not so fast swimming, but I could bike strong and keep my heart rate down. So I was burning fat, I was metabolically efficient, that I could feel good enough on the run to place top 3 in my age group, top 5. Suddenly, I was more second because my swim was never fast enough, but that's just an ongoing area of opportunity. But the real reason I found that I started to get what I called adrenal exhaustion 2013 and pivoted my whole life around what I do today to be that practitioner that I needed. Chronic stress. It's, as high performers, we always do more. We have the more is better mantra, and we think we're invincible. We feel that we are superhuman. More is better. The stronger I can be, I can take it. But the challenge is that I had happen to me, that I see with all my clients, that chronic stress is masked as healthy living. High performers are living in a chronic sympathetic overdrive while we call it healthy. You may not feel stressed emotionally. I was feeling pretty good. I thought I was thriving. I did my best races in 2012. Ironman, half Ironman in September, World Championships, Ironman Hawaii that October. I did a 50K trail run in that December. And then January 2013, I did a great marathon. And then it's February, I did a 50K run. Obviously, I did too many races. But that's when my heart rate was high. I wasn't feeling good. I fell off, and then the wheels started to come off. March 2013 was the downhill spiral. I was living life as a race, as I wrote in my book. It's not life is a journey. But we get used to feeling that pattern, sympathetic overdrive. Think we're healthy. We feel we're amazing. It only lasts so long. It accumulates. You may not feel stressed emotionally, but physiologically, your body is reading stress from frequent workouts, under recovery, maybe poor sleep quality, fasting. I did too much fasting. I was doing too low carb. I was probably not eating enough because all I did was, I'm burning fat. I'm metabolically efficient. We were into keto and we were into intermittent fasting and OMAD, but I was training for Ironmans at the same time and I was burning a lot of fat. But guess what? I was not eating very much because I'd do the bulletproof coffee all day. Then I'd have one meal a day. I was training 20 hours a week. Plus I ran Fitness Forward Studio in Bellevue, Washington, plug for my old clients. And I was busy all day, morning to night. It wasn't a lack of effort. It was not that I was lazy. I was not getting enough nutrition. I was doing too much of everything. It was low carb plus high output and constant productivity. Stress hormones are not bad, but chronic elevation tells the body something. Now is not the time to build muscle or release fat, or for me back then, it's not time to have a baby. I never could have children, and I gave up trying because I got too old. I was like, I don't want a kid when I'm 45, 50 years old. So instead of adapting, the body conserves. That conservation will show up in your body as stubborn fat, muscle loss, soft tissue tone, slower metabolism, poor recovery. This is not failure. It is your body, I keep saying every episode, protection. So here's myth number 1. I just need to eat less and move more. This is a myth that's been going on way too long, and it's one of the most damaging, especially in middle age. Eating less while moving more reduces energy availability, suppresses thyroid conversion, increases your cortisol, lowers anabolic hormones, down-regulates metabolism. Your body becomes better at surviving on less, not better at burning fat. And that's why weight loss stalls. And this is why people feel softer, weaker, and just flatter energy over time. The second root cause, mitochondria dysfunction. Keep in mind, the mitochondria, they're your energy factories of the cells. They create ATP. Think dollars, money. Your body creates ATP, the energy currency for your body, for every cell, except for your blood cell, to work. They are the energy factories. Mitochondria, remember, they power fat oxidation, muscle repair, hormone conversion, detox enzymes, gut motility, and recovery from training. So think about, as a health investigator working with high performers, This is one of the biggest missing pieces. High performers, we often out-train our mitochondria, underfuel them, rely on more stimulants, and we normalize feeling fatigued. This is just how I feel. I'm training hard. This is just the new me. And instead, we are depleting our body at a cellular level. The mitochondria are depleted, so fat loss stalls is the word. Your muscle protein synthesis drops, inflammation increases, digestion slows down, and guess what? That detox backs up. And your energy before effort is a non-negotiable. The body cannot build muscle or lose fat without energy. And we need to understand how that all works. Now, I do Pinoy metabolism testing in Solana Beach. You can find someone near you or come take a little vacation and visit me. Who doesn't want to come to North San Diego? Is why I moved here 5 years ago and pretend I live in Solana Beach, but I live 12 miles inland from there. If you live at the beach, you end up with I was just looking at rent, by the way. It's like a 700 to 1,000 square foot house you'll get. For the same amount, we can have a 3,500 square foot house with an acre property. So there's a reason we drive 30 minutes everywhere. People never understand. But do you want to live by the beach and have marine layer half the year? Or do you want to live inland and have fresh air, clear skies most of the year? Anyways, I digress. Working on metabolism testing does give us clues, and retesting every 3 months. Resting metabolic rate doesn't just tell me how many calories you burn a day. It's giving me a big, huge flag of how stressed is your metabolism, but also how efficient are you breathing? Are you burning fat or carbohydrates at rest? If your body's conserving energy. And in active metabolism tests, as on a treadmill, we can identify how you fuel during exercise, when stress hormones might spike up, how quickly you shift from fat to carb burning, and your recovery capacity. When you stop working at high intensity, does your heart rate drop, and how well do you burn fat again? So many fit people are shocked to see that they have low fat oxidation, high stress breathing, early carb dependence, and inefficient movement. And I see this all the time. And this explains why exercise isn't working for you the same as it used to. And we want to look at your lab testing. I don't want to just do the metabolism test, but I need to do nutritional therapy assessment as a nutritional therapy practitioner. I'll give you a long intake form of clues and correlations to your symptoms. And I'm going to look at any recent blood chemistry panel that you've done if we're doing certain packages. But I want to look at your mitochondria health, because remember, mitochondria are the energy factories, create ATP, but they also decide what your body can afford to do. Yes, your mitochondria power fat oxidation. If your mitochondria are underpowered, fat loss stalls, and even the calories are too low and exercise is high, fat loss will stall. Mitochondria need the right power. Training breaks muscle down. So the mitochondria provide the energy required to rebuild the body to be stronger. Without energy, muscle protein synthesis will even drop more. And then we have thyroid conversion. Inactive thyroid T4 to T3 needs to happen. Estrogen metabolism, cortisol clearance, these all depend on mitochondria energy to power those systems. And our liver detoxification, phase 1 and phase 2 and phase 3's elimination drainage pathways, every phase of detoxification requires ATP. So if we don't have enough energy on board, we have slower detoxification. And gut motility, peristalsis, is an energy-dependent process. If we have low mitochondria output, we have sluggish digestion and more signs of constipation. Training, your workout is a stress. So adaptation from that workout is where we get stronger, that acute stress hormesis, but only if mitochondria can recover and rebuild after that stress. We repair, rebuild to get stronger. We adapt on the recovery time between the workouts. So when your mitochondria are struggling, everything downstream struggles as well. And this is why I see that these clients I see that I focus on working with high performers are more vulnerable. Because the people committed to health are the ones most depleted at a cellular level. High performers tend to out-train their mitochondria. They apply stress more often than they allow proper recovery. Over time, the mitochondria down-regulates to protect their system. And even myself, I think under-fueling our mitochondria because I was eating clean, low-carb, keto, fasting, so very low-calorie intake. Fasting layered on top of training, especially for a female in perimenopause, all reduced energy availability and adds more stress to my body. And then we rely on more caffeine, on pre-workout stacks, adrenaline, push through that fatigue to mask the signal. But it doesn't fix the problem. And then we normalize fatigue, as I said. We just tell ourselves, oh, I'm just getting older. This is part of aging. This is my new normal. This is what discipline feels like. It's not normal. It's not adaptive shutdown. It's just looking at when energy availability drops, the body shifts into this conservation mode. Conservation mode, when mitochondria are depleted, we see that fat loss stalls. The body's holding on to energy reserve because it doesn't trust energy's available. It's smart. Our body has a brilliant innate intelligence, and it's working on helping us survive. So you may lift weights, but muscle does not rebuild efficiently when you don't have the right nutrients on board. You may feel soft instead of strong. And inflammation increases because low mitochondria output leads to more oxidative stress and more inflammatory signaling. And as digestion slows down, probably because you're in sympathetic overdrive, right? Sympathetic dominance, motility decreases. So then we have more bloating, we have more constipation, and then we have nutrient absorption declining as well. And that's where we see detox backs up. The waste stays in circulation longer. It's like similar to your garbage trucks. The garbage service is on strike. That waste is piling up at the end of your driveway in the garbage cans. No one's taking it out. And it stays recirculating your body. And this increases symptom load and even disrupting your hormones more. Again, this is not about failure. It's what I keep trying to share is protective physiology. And so when try harder as a high performer makes things worse, when the mitochondria are depleted, effort becomes a threat, not a stimulus. More training, more fasting, more restriction, more discipline. I'm seeing this more and more. And we're telling the body that resources are scarce, shut down the non-essential functions. Does it remind you of 2020? Only people that are essential workers can go back to work. Everybody else is on shutdown. Fat loss and muscle gain are non-essential when survival is prioritized. This is why pushing harder backfires. This is why I say you can't build muscle. You cannot lose fat, which only what you want to focus on is building muscle without energy. It's not that you're lacking motivation, discipline, or willpower. It's energy. Mitochondria health depends, or actually determines, whether your body is able to adapt, whether your hormones are signaling correctly, whether fat is released, and whether your muscle is rebuilt. Until energy availability is actually restored, your body will resist change, no matter how perfect your routine is looking. And this has changed the entire approach to helping people get the body and their vibrant self back again. I'm not pushing more cardio, heavier lifting, eating more strict food plan. Instead, we're looking at, are we restoring your mitochondrial capacity, improving fuel timing, getting adequate fuel, reducing unnecessary stress load, improving recovery, improving your quality of sleep, and of course, rebuilding cellular resilience. Once the mitochondria are supported, effort should be able to start working again. If fat loss has stalled for you, if muscle's harder to gain, if you just feel softer, flatter, or just constantly inflamed and just not good, it's not necessarily your body's broken. Your mitochondria are just tired. And until energy comes first, energy, your effort and doing everything what you're doing isn't going to succeed because the right order of operations. Energy before effort is a non-negotiable, and why true transformation starts from within. So we want to look at where are you now, understand how we need to go deeper, and understand what are you doing now that's working for you and what we need to do to get you where you want to be. And that depends on everybody because we're all unique individuals, right? So we need to work on creating that blueprint for you. And ideally, I suggest to clients to get a 3x4 genetic blueprint. It's so fascinating. It's this new program I've been learning about, taking their practitioner program, but just how much information we can get to correlate with what should your blueprint look like and understand what nutrients I need to do. What else do I need to do to improve my foundations so then I can tie in my nutrients and put it all together. So let's talk a little bit more. I always like to go to the next level. So let's think about this. Let's go back to when I do Pinoy metabolism testing. This helps me understand, again, it's not just the calories, the stress, how your metabolism is stressed, and the clues that we get from it, I think are pretty powerful. Most people may do a metabolism test and look at the report that you get and just give it to you. I take it at another level. I'm looking as a practitioner, clues, patterns. What do we see? What are we learning from what your body's telling us? Not just how many calories you need a day to eat to survive, but so much more we get from this, especially when we combine it with functional blood chemistry analysis and nutritional therapy analysis. So I like to look at each client individually, understand that we're all unique, right? And what your past entails, trauma, exercise history, exposure to mold, different accidents you've had, we put it all together. And when I use the metabolism testing, I'm looking at how your body is interpreting the world. Is it in safety and abundance, or is it in threat and conservation? That distinction changes everything. So when we're looking at the resting metabolic rate, we say RMR testing. What your body is doing when you're doing nothing. It's just laying still. I like to do the test for 15 minutes, even 20 minutes for some people. This tells us how your system behaves at baseline, before exercise, before stress, before willpower kicks in. And this is where the truth lives. So I look at metabolic output. Is your body open or defensive? A suppressed or lower than expected RMR can often tell us your body has down-regulated energy expenditure. How about thyroid? Thyroid signaling may be suppressed at the cellular level. And energy availability has been inconsistent over time. This is not slow metabolism as a flaw, but again, protective. Protection is what your body's doing. We're also analyzing your breath and your fat to carbohydrate burn. So we get some information, but let's take it to the next level. What I see many people experiencing is that their resting metabolism test results on the report showing us lower metabolic output. And that's reflection of your body intentionally down regulating not a damaged metabolism. It's telling us your body's decided to reduce the baseline energy expenditure, prioritize your essential survival functions, and minimize energy waste. What is essential right now? This decision happens below the conscious control, and it's driven by repeated inputs over time. And then I'm going to look at why is the body down regulating your energy expenditure? What's going on with you from the inside out? Inconsistent energy availability. And I feel like this is what happened to me. Part of it, it's not just ever one thing, it's multiple things. Inputs. That when energy availability has become unpredictable, the body learns a pattern. Calories fluctuate. Fuel doesn't reliably match output. Recovery is insufficient. Stress load remains high. And this often comes from clean eating with low calories. Low carb or fasting layered on top of the training is what I was doing. On top of a busy life, high daily activity without refueling because I was burning fat. I felt fine, I thought, because I was efficient fat burner. I didn't need to eat as much, but I still need calories to fuel my body. I didn't feel fatigue, but I think we have to think we earn food mentally or behaviorally. Behaviors come into play. That from a cellular perspective, the message is not this person is healthy or not. It's the message we need to reprogram is that energy cannot be trusted. And when the energy cannot be trusted, conservation becomes the safest strategy. And then I see thyroid issues in all of us. Thyroid signaling is suppressed at a cellular level on purpose. And this is where people get really confused. Their blood labs show, quote unquote, normal TSH or T4, the inactive form of thyroid, yet your metabolism on the Pnoi test is suppressed. Why is that? Because thyroid hormones do not just act in the bloodstream, they act inside the cells. So when we work on being healthy from the inside out, working from within, when energy is scarce or the stress is high, conversion of T4, the inactive form of thyroid, to active T3 decreases. Conversion shifts towards reverse T3. And we can test this on your blood test. And your cells become less responsive to thyroid hormone. This reduces heat production, energy expenditure, fat oxidation, not because your thyroid is broken, but because the body is intentionally slowing down the engine to preserve fuel. Then, chronic stress signals override, overgrowth, fat loss. These stress hormones, especially cortisol, which isn't bad, it's the right amount, the right time, the Goldilocks effect for everything. Stress hormones tell the body one thing. Now it's not safe to burn your reserves. Even when someone feels emotionally fine, physiological stress may still be high from training volume, your poor sleep, under eating, which is common, inflammation, and many of us have gut dysfunction that they don't know about because we have to run a test to determine what's actually going on instead of guessing. And cortisol shifts your metabolism towards dependency on glucose and not fat. So you store fat and you break your muscle down, catabolism. So the body lowers resting energy output to reduce the demand. This is not dysfunction, it's risk management. And this shows up as slow metabolism when we do testing. The sequence usually looks like this, and I'm starting to understand this pattern. We have high output stacked with inadequate recovery. Our energy availability becomes inconsistent because we're under eating, under fueling, and too much fasting. And our stress hormones remain elevated. Then our thyroid signaling gets dampened at the cellular level. Our mitochondria output is reduced, less ATP, and our resting metabolic rate drops. At that point, the body is no longer open to change. It's in defensive mode. This is metabolic protection. Again, it's not failure. We don't like to fail. We're high performers. We're perfectionists. We like to have everything go right. And if it doesn't go right, we get frustrated. We get anxious. We get stressed. We are type A, driven high performers. But from a body's perspective, fat is insurance. Muscle is expendable. And energy must be rationed. So the body's asking you, can I survive on less? And the answer is, we burn fewer calories at rest. We hold onto stored energy, and we reduce those non-essential processes, as in 2020, as muscle building and fat loss. This is why fat loss stalls despite effort. Muscle feels harder to gain, and the body feels soft and squishy instead of strong and firm. It's not because you're lazy, you lack discipline, it's because your physiology is protecting you. And I keep seeing this with all my clients. And this is why pushing harder only makes things worse. When the body is already conserving, adding in more training, more restriction, more intensity, more supplements, more injections confirms the threat. The body's going to respond to you back. I'm going to suppress that metabolism even more. I'm going to increase those fatigue signals, and I'm going to hold on to that fat ever so tightly. And effort becomes the very thing that reinforces the shutdown. So a good root cause insight here is that your suppressed metabolism is not a broken engine. Think of it as an engine intentionally idling because the system has not learned. Your fuel is unreliable, your stress is constant, and conservation is safer for us to be in right now than adapting. Until that message changes, there is no fat loss or muscle gain strategy that's going to work for you, no matter how perfect it looks on paper. And what has to change for metabolic output to rise again? The body will only increase your metabolic output when it senses predictable fuel, reduction in stress load, sufficient recovery, and cellular safety. That's why the solution is not, let's speed up your metabolism, let's eat less and train more. Instead, sadly, people don't want to hear this. We need to restore trust in energy availability. We need to reduce defensive signaling and rebuild mitochondria capacity. When that actually happens, the metabolic output rises naturally. Not because we forced it, because the body finally feels safe enough to open up. Again, your resting metabolic rate being lower is not a flaw, it's your body's feedback. And when you learn how to listen to that feedback instead of fighting it, the body will stop defending and start adapting again. And this is the essence of our root cause work. That is from within and how we build your future you blueprint. Does that make sense to you? Does it resonate? To me, it's like, oh my gosh, if I only knew this 15 years ago, 2010, I want to understand the how and the why and what else should I be doing now? But that's what I'm trying to help you do and be your guide to help get you through this. So if you want to learn more about the how and the why, we need to figure out, what do you need to do? Maybe we need to run some tests and investigate, but let's work on your foundation first. Remember, the solution is not to do more, but restore trust in your system. The body does not respond to logic, it's responding to patterns. And when we see it stop releasing fat, building muscle, recovering well, it's because you have learned one thing. The body has learned that energy is not reliable. We talk about stress is just constant, it's chronic stress. And we're in that cell danger response. We're in defense mode. The solution is not to override that decision. Remember, it's to change the pattern that taught it to defend in the first place. So we work on restoring trust in the energy availability. We want to ask the body, will energy be there when I need it? We need to restore trust. How to rebuild it through consistency, not excess. Looking at what you're eating. How many calories are you getting in? Fuel availability around your workouts. Avoiding chronic energy deficits. Getting your systems online and working together to create metabolic harmony and get out of defensive mode. And defensive signaling is driven by chronic activation, chronic stress, release, cortisol, adrenaline, inflammatory cytokines. And when these signals rise, the body will perceive physical stress, metabolic stress, inflammatory stress, all together. Training volume, sleep loss, blood sugar swings, underfueling, gut dysfunction, toxic overload. And remember, the body goes into survival mode and it's not safe to build. And so it'll shift to muscle breakdown, preserving fat, and metabolic slowdown. So you don't just turn off stress. It's not an on-off light switch, on, off, on, off. It's lowering that baseline threat level. So we need to work on your exercise, work on your routines, work on your nutrient intake and timing and absorption, or actually breakdown before absorption. Calming the nervous system, improving sleep, depth and duration. So when your hormones start to fall, your stress hormones, the growth signals can rise again. And then we can work on the mitochondria. We need to increase energy production. The mitochondria adapt to demand. And when demand exceeds your recovery too long, the mitochondria reduce output. We talked about how they limit fat oxidation. And your mitochondria depend on different stress fuels. As a protection, we want to avoid burnout. And I feel like that's what I did to my body. I break down and burn out the body systems. Low mitochondrial output is not failure, but self-preservation. And capacity returns when the body senses that lower demand, higher fuel availability, better recovery. So we figure out a plan. Send that safety signal first and figure out how to restore and work your body together. How to build trust, reduce the stress signaling, improve safety, and consistency, and finding your capacity. Not doing more workouts, not eating more strict food plan, not taking more supplements. Trust before intensity, energy before effort, and safety before stress. Remember, the body does not resist change because it's stubborn. It's resisting change because it's protecting you. And when you change the signals, the inputs, the protection is no longer necessary. That is when the body opens again. That is from within. That is our flow foundation, how we build your future you blueprint. Not by forcing change, but by making adaptation safe again. So send me a message if you want to learn more how to get a free discovery call, and we can talk about where to get started to improve your future self. Thanks for taking ownership of your health and being curious about what you can do to live your best life in the second half of your life, right? So we can strive to thrive and not struggle as we age. Stop blaming the aging process and let's push stop, pause, reboot the system and get you back in alignment. Let's finish up talking about these other myths. I got off track as usual. So I want to go back to a myth that keeps people stuck in chronic underfueling. Many clients I see calories too low for their output, and they're restricting carbohydrates, even though I was called the Low Carb Athlete podcast for years. It's eating carbs around the right workouts, not avoiding them totally. And people got into keto and carnivore that might need some good carbs from nature. It doesn't have to be plants, maybe some berries, some good carbohydrates from nature. And then we got into fasting so much on top of our workouts. This, from body's perspective, is not a fat loss friendly, even though back then when I was doing it 15 years ago, we thought it was the right thing. We were all due nomad that are fit and healthy athletes, high performers. It actually gave a signal of famine. When the food intake drops, but stress and activity remain high, the body's asking, what if this continues? I think safest thing is to hold fat. Let's slow the metabolism down and reduce muscle. Remember, fat loss stalls not because the intake is always high. It's because fuel, as we went over, is unpredictable. And then another myth is I need to do more cardio or lift more weights. This is common in fit people because I'm working on talking to clients that are fit and active. Exercise as a stimulus is not the result. When we need to look at my avatar client, they're not sedentary clients that are struggling to exercise and move. They're doing all that, but they're doing the other extreme, too much, other side of the bell curve. But when recovery, your sleep and energy are compromised, remember that exercise is breaking you down. It's catabolic. Muscle breaks down faster than it rebuilds. And you'll see your inflammation rising and your fat loss will shut down. If you add more cardio, longer sessions, and working in that zone 3, you're on a working out and stress system. You're increasing cortisol, you're reducing thyroid signaling, and you're probably making your metabolic efficiency even worse, so inefficient. So lifting more weights, doing more workouts without proper recovery actually could increase the breakdown and increase fatigue and reinforces that you need more support. If exercise were the answer, it'd already be working for us, right? We are the fit and healthy, active individuals listening to this. We're doing all the exercise. That's not the problem. That's why I have this platform to be fit and healthy from this side out, because I got myself damaged when I was the most fit of my life. Exercise isn't the problem. But now, as in middle age, now we're all blaming our hormones. Hormones get blamed, but they're still not the root cause. It's part of it. Hormones do respond to your energy availability, to your stress load, inflammation, and gut liver function. Yes, in middle age, as females, we have lower estrogen and progesterone. Men and women, we have lower testosterone. We're seeing more sluggish thyroid, higher cortisol. But understand these are downstream adaptations. So as a root cause holistic health investigator, practitioner, I'm looking north to south. And we want to make sure, before we replace hormones, as I did this for my own body, we need to make sure we restore your nervous system tone, your vagus nerve, vagal tone, mitochondria energy, your bile flow, and your gut motility. If we take hormones without doing the foundations first, we're not going to get the desired results. The body clears what it doesn't feel safe using. We want to make sure we've got everything working right. Now, do you have good drainage? Are you pooping? Is your stomach acid? Is your vagus nerve strong? And is your stomach getting the triggers acidic enough? Are you releasing digest enzymes? Are you releasing bile? And good flow. And then we talked about the lymph and the fascia and the vagus nerve and all this connected into the flow foundations. So it's not just nutrition and exercise, right? There's more to it. The other myth is clean eating is enough. Clean eating, I say quote, unquote. I think clean eating is very misleading. I don't know what that means for everyone, but maybe it's eating natural foods. They're all foods. It doesn't mean the same as adequate eating. Clean eating often is low calorie, low carb, low energy availability, LEA that Dr. Stacy Sims discusses, mitochondria problems, micronutrient depletion. The body doesn't respond too well to this, and it's more responding to energy sufficiency is what it needs. Food is information, and restriction, we're learning, sends the message, conserve, do not release fat. Adequacy sends the message you can afford to build and adapt. All right, another myth I hear is if I'm exercising, eating well, detox will just work. Fat loss requires elimination. But if you're missing good bile flow, good gut motility, and lymph movement, your hormones, I see this over and over and over again. Every person I've had the last 6 weeks, hormones recirculating, toxins remaining in circulation, inflammation staying elevated, insulin sensitivity is an issue. You can poop every day and still be constipated. Remember, incomplete elimination leads to stalled fat loss. Because part of my program is waste removal that comes last in our flow program is not the first. We need to make sure we have proper elimination. When I step back and look at patterns, fat loss stalls because the body has entered this defensive mode, right? Defense is driven by low energy availability, chronic stress signaling, mitochondria depletion, poor recovery, impaired elimination. It's withheld as a protection. So fat loss is not something you force. It's something the body allows when it feels safe, proper fueling is supported. So the solution when people struggle with weight loss and changing their body composition, recomp, is not to eat less, move more, push harder. Sometimes we need to take a different approach. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. Restore trust in energy availability. Reduce defensive stress signaling. Rebuild your mitochondrial capacity and signal safety before stress. When we work on changing these signals, I think your fat loss and ability to build muscle is what I want you to do, not just focus on fat loss, but I want you to build muscle. That will increase your lean body mass. This is what we take from within approach. While we don't start with aggressive fat loss plans, intensive training cycles, restrictive nutrition, we start with what is your body defending against? Because when you remove the need for defense, the body stops holding on. That's how fat loss returns, how muscle firm up and lean body masses increase. You build muscle and how confidence rebuilds. Not from forcing it, but from within. So thank you for listening. And now I will wrap up and stay tuned for upcoming episode on peptides as I take a deep dive with Dr. Barry Sanchez and peptides and how we work on adding in peptides in the right order of operations. From within, check it out. Ask me for a link and a free discovery call.
Thanks for listening to the Coach Debbie Pot Show. If today's episode sparked a light bulb moment, that's your sign to stop guessing and start building your personalized future you blueprint. You can learn more or book a discovery call at www.debbiepotts.net. Be sure to follow the show on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Just search Coach Debbie Potts. 2 T's. If this episode helped you, please subscribe, rate, and review. It's how we help more people age with strength, energy, and clarity. Until next time, remember, age is inevitable. How you age is not.